myself Deepak More, and today I am going to teach you physics of standard 8, lesson number 6. Name of the lesson is heat transfer. So as the name is heat, so we have the ideas about the heat, how the heat we are getting, how the heat is produced, and you are familiar with this name heat. You learned in the last year that matter is composed of tiny particles called as the molecules. Yes, and the molecules are very small in size, nearly 10 raised to minus 10 meter. When the molecules are in the case of solid, then the molecules have the most potential energy while it have the least kinetic energy because they are tightly packed. While in the case of liquids, they have the potential energy as well as they have the kinetic energy because they have the motion. They are in the motion, but they have the boundaries. But in the case of gas, the molecules are fugitive, and that's why they have the least potential energy and more kinetic energy because they can move freely in the nature. So as the sum of the total kinetic energy is known as total internal energy, and the sum of total potential energy is known as total internal potential energy, and the sum of both total internal potential energy and total internal kinetic energy is known as heat energy, and the unit of the heat energy is joule. Now, how the molecules are in the motion and when the molecules are getting in the motion. As we know that whenever we are passing the heat to the air body, that time the body is loses. For example, if we took a metal and if we kept that metal for heating, or if we given the heat to the metal for a longer time, you will observe that the metal converts into the liquid after some time. Why? How? Though whenever we pass the heat in the metal, that time the molecules which are present in the metal, they are getting the heat. Directly or indirectly they are charging, and because of them the kinetic energy of the molecules were increasing. Whenever that material were in the form of a metal, that time the potential energy were more while the kinetic energy were less because it was a solid. But as we given heat to that metal, that time the kinetic energy of that molecules is started to increase. As the kinetic energy started to increase, as much more heat we pass to the metal, that much more kinetic energy started to increase. And increase in the kinetic energy turns that solid metal into the liquid. And whenever that metal fully converts into the liquid, that time the kinetic energy were more and the potential energy were very least. Again, whenever we cool that same metal, that time the potential energy of the molecules were increasing while the kinetic energy slowly goes decreasing. And whenever that metal again goes from liquid to the solid, that time the potential energy were high while the kinetic energy were least. You know very well the ice cube. Whenever we are keeping the water in a refrigerator, that time the water cools. It means that the water molecules which have the kinetic energy that is loses, and that loses the kinetic energy, and because of them the potential energy between them is increasing, and that's why that water converts into the ice cube. Again, whenever that ice cube is we took out from the refrigerator and if we kept in a surrounding temperature, that time it start to melt. That time the kinetic energy of the molecules of the ice cube is increasing while the potential energy is decreasing. It means that the surrounding temperature or that particular room is affecting on that ice cube. And when the temperature means heat is affecting on the ice cube, and as the heat is affecting, that's why the kinetic energy increases. By using this example, we conclude that heat is a form of energy. Yes, it is a form of energy. So heat always flows from hot body to the cold body. Heat always flows from hot body to a cold body. And why whenever heat is passes from hot body to the cold body, it needs a medium. It needs a medium. Though whenever heat is passed to the any body, that time the temperature of that particular body is increasing, and because of that the kinetic energy of that particular body is, or the kinetic energy of that particular molecules of the body is increasing, and it turns to the another state. Now the next topic of the lesson is effect of heat. Heat produces mainly the following three effects. First one, change in the temperature of the body. Second one, change in the state of the body, and the third one is change in the size of the body. So we will see the first one, change in the temperature of the body. Though the first one is change in the temperature of the body. Though as we are giving heat to the body, then the body's temperature changes. As if we are giving heat to the body, then the temperature of the body increases. If we are cooling to the body, that time the temperature decreases. Then there are two factors on which the change in the temperature of the body depends. Though the first factor is quantity of heat imparted to or rejected from the body, and the second one is material of the body. Though the first one is how much quantity of heat we given to the body and how much quantity of heat we rejected from the body. It means that if we given heat to the body, that time the temperature of that particular body increases. Why? Whenever we cools down the body, that time the temperature of the body decreases. The reason is what? Whenever we are giving heat to the body, that time the molecules of that particular body getting the temperature, or it is increasing its temperature. While they are increasing its temperature, that time the kinetic energy of the molecules of that particular body is also increases, and because of them the temperature increases. While whenever we are cooling to the body, that time the kinetic energy of the body, or the kinetic energy of that particular molecules of the body is decreases, and that's why the temperature also decreases. Now the next one is material of the body. If we given same temperature to the same site of the two bodies, the bodies are different, then we will observe that the temperatures is increasing in a two ways. Now keep it the note, or keep it in the mind. Two bodies are there of the same site. We are giving heat to the body, as same heat we are passing to the bodies. Only the material of the body is changing. In these materials, whenever we are passing the heat, one body is heated early, or its temperature rises early, while the another body is not getting its temperature early. So what is the reason? Because each body have its capacities. Because each body have its different capacities to gain the heat. That's why the body is, after giving the same temperature to the same structural, but the bodies were different, the heat absorbed by one body is more, while the heat absorbed by the another body is different in the same time interval. Now the next effect of heat is change in the state of the body. Though there are three states of matter, that are solid, liquid and gases. So as solid, liquid and gases are different three states of matter. So whenever any body changes from one state to another state at a constant temperature, that process is called as a change of state. Though the process of change from one state to another at a constant temperature is called change of state. There are different changes in the state. So first of all, we will see the first example whenever the solid changes to the liquid. Whenever a solid changes into the liquid at a constant temperature, this process of change from solid to the liquid is called as a melting. While the liquid again cools down and it converts back into the solid, it's called as a fusion or freezing. Now if you have to see another example, whenever a liquid changes to the gas, if the liquid changes from liquid state to the gas state at a fixed temperature, that time the process of change from liquid to the gas is called as a vaporization. Is called as a vaporization or boiling. And the reverse process of it means when a gas changes from gaseous state to the liquid state at a fixed temperature or when it gets cools down, that time the process of this change is called as a condensation. Now in the case of solid to directly into the gas, though in this process whenever a solid changes from solid state to the directly into the gaseous state, this particular process is called as a sublimation. While whenever gas directly changes from gaseous state to the solid after cooling to it, this process of change from gaseous state to the solid state, while the gas whenever it is changing from gaseous state to the solid state after cooling to it, this process of change from gaseous state to the solid state is called as a solidification. These are the processes which are happening in a change of state, and why the change of states are happening in three different states of a matter. Now there are one process, evaporation and boiling. The evaporation and boiling are different from each other. How? The evaporation happens at a room temperature while the boiling needs to pass to heat, or it needs to boil a heat. While the evaporation is a slow process and the boiling is a fast process. And evaporation occurs at the surface of a liquid while boiling happens or is happening in whole liquid from where we given the heat to that particular body. That's why evaporation and boiling are the two different phenomena. As in these cases, the liquid changes to the gas. In the both processes, in the vaporization also and in the boiling also, liquid changes from liquid state to the gas state. Still, both have the differences as I told. Now the last effect of the heat is change in the size of the body. Though, as we know that solid, liquid and gases are the three states of a matter. Then whenever a body is heated, that time it starts to expand. Whenever it is expanding, which means that there is a change in the size. While whenever the body gets cool, that time it is contracting. Whenever it is contracting, that time also there is a change in the size. So when a body is heated, it expands, and upon cooling, it contracts. This change in the size of the body due to heating is called as a thermal expansion. Why? After giving heat to the body, it is expanding. After cooling to the body, it is contracting. This particular changes due to the heating is called as a thermal expansion. As we are familiar with the three states of a matter, solid, liquid and gases. All these three states, after giving heat, they are expanding, while after rejecting the heat, then they are contracting. While they are expanding and why they are contracting. Whenever we are giving heat to the molecules of the solid, liquid or gases, that time the average kinetic energy of that particular molecule is increases, and that's why the space between them is increases, and because of that they are expanding. While whenever cooling to them, that time the average kinetic energy of the molecules of the solid, liquid and gases is decreases, and the spaces between them is decreasing, that's why they are contracting. This is for today. Bye dear students.